A lot of people asked me why I got out of that SPY trade when I did. And you know what? We all make mistakes, okay? So I want to go over that first off. We got into that SPY put at 10:41 basically a.m. at 1:35 on SPY. So if we look at the chart below here, 10:41, we got in right here. That was our entry on the SPY put this morning, okay?
GPN share is over.
Now, we were talking about resistance that we weren't going to sell unless we broke above that resistance here. And as you could see, so then we ended up selling that trade right here. As you could see, we ended up selling that trade at 80 cents and we closed it out at 11.09. Right here, you could see that. We closed it out at 11.09. Notice how I'm trading really small in the trade challenge account, 2 contracts. This volatility I told you is really important, to trade small. So let's take a look now. 11.09 is when we got out. If we look here, so here is my exit. And we closed that out at 0.80. We got in at 10:40, out at 11.09. This is a great little lesson for you guys. And we talked about this being the resistance area. And this was also going to be our stop for those puts. So if we got a candle above this line here, this yellow line, this was going to be our stop on those puts. Okay. So here's the thing. I got out prematurely. I ended up paying $1.35. And I ended up exiting for 80 cents here. Now, the big problem with that is, you know, I failed to follow my own trade plan, okay? As you could see, I saw the market shifting a little bit. I'm like, yeah, you know, I really don't want this trade to go against me big time. So I ended up exiting out of this trade right here at that 11.09 candle. I was in for $1.35, out at 80 cents. That's a pretty decent hit there. I only had 2 contracts. But as I was telling you guys on that trade, my stop was going to be a candle above that resistance, that stop. Noticed how we got almost up to that resistance and then we failed and we kept pulling back here. And if you look here at this 12.05 candle, we were at the lows there. And that was worth a significant amount of money. Now, the thing is, we could get the option chain up here and we could see how much money that we missed from not following our trade plan here. So now that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring up that SPY 333 strike put that we entered. I'm going to link this with link 2. So this chart right here is that SPY October 2nd, 333 strike put that we entered. As you can see, let's zoom in a little bit here. Let's look for our entry at 135 at 10:40. 10:40 was right here. We ended up paying $1.35. So here is us that we entered right here at $1.35. And notice how that trade went right against us and started pulling back. You know, and then at 11.09 is when we sold. Here's 11.09 when we sold for 80 cents here. We sold it for just about the lows. 80 cents there. And noticed how when it got up to that resistance, it failed and it started to head lower. And our opportunity to sell would have been on this candle right here at 12.07. But as you can see here, at 12.05, it got down to those lows. But that's what we were looking for, is that move lower. Now we could go back here and look at 12.05, 12.07. Now that we paid $1.35, look at what it got up to up here after that big drop. You know, this is those SPY October 333 strike puts. So now you can see it got all the way up to almost, you know, it got almost up to $2. It got up to $1.98. $1.98, divide that by 1.35. We would have had a 47% gain on that trade if we ended up following our trade plan and didn't sell before it broke above that resistance. So that's really important about following the trade plan there, because we knew that the markets were going to be heading lower given that news, and we did end up going lower there. It's just we needed to give it a little bit of time. That's why we have our resistance and our stops. Even though we were down quite a bit on that trade, and how much are we down on that trade if we got in at $1.35, sold it at 80 cents? What was that loss there? That was a pretty big loss there, wasn't it? That was like a 40% loss there. So that's a big loss, but I wanted to get out of that early. And if I followed my trade plan, we could have continued to hold on to those puts until we got down to those lows and had that big green candle here. The only reason why we started climbing is because of this candle right here. They were talking about the stimulus talks going on now and looking more positive. So that's a little lesson there about how important it is to follow that trade plan. I didn't follow it myself there. I took a loss when I could have ended up making a 47% gain. So that was a really important lesson that we all learned on this trade. And I thought this would be a great little lesson to go over with you guys on the importance of following that trade plan, the resistance, the stops, and following that news for the day. So hope you guys like that little lesson there. It's an important lesson on discipline, following that trade plan, and going with the flow of the market there.